is...
Well, everyone looks like they're just going to be spreading out here at the very start of this. Peacemaker set is going to be the chroma and skin for life. Not a whole lot should happen in the early stages of the game unless Elim gets a little bit frisky. But no matter what, there's definitely some interesting stuff going on here. They R5'd Kindred. Even though Azir in some worlds can just shove you out of the Kindred ultimate, but then in addition to that, Set can superplex you out of the Kindred ultimate. So there's a bit of counterintuitive stuff going on here, and yeah, that ward is gonna just barely be able to survive. Hail of Blades, Echo.
On both of them, Hail of Blades Azir.
Yeah.
And Hail of Blades Echo, so...
Seems like...
we're hailing the Blades, I guess.
BDD has learned the lesson since facing Chovy with how he's going to elect to start. Now I'm just going to do a solo blue start here.
Yeah, so no leash happening there. Efforts, no leash for both sides actually. As you see, Life is going pretty aggressive to start us off. A lot of trading here in the mid lane as well. Looks like BDD got the very slight advantage on that one.
Yeah. And down in bottom, I mean, T1 got the much better end of that initial trade. Clit now just gonna move in here. Start his red camp. Or Raptor camp, sorry. Just starting red. Elim. Gonna take the red buff, and it looks like he's pathing up into top lane. He's dancing around right now. This is going to be the first pick for Elim. First pick for Faker as well.
Well, we got the root, and this is level 2 against level 1. Ruler just abusing this bottom lane with his range advantage, and here comes Life as well. Gonna get a huge trade down in the bottom side. You can see that effort not really able to do much, as it does feel like the better melee support in those little skirmishes does end up being set. So once again, Ruler just saying, hey, by the way, you left Senna open. And I'm going to show you why it's strong. But here comes Elim. Thinking about going topside, but there is a ward, actually, that he failed to scan. So is going to waste a bit of time up here on the top side, as the ward will now go down, and that was actually spotted because it gets pinged.
This is really strange because Rascal had a cheater recall. He could have just gone for it, and he didn't, and now he's going to die.
Here we go. Yeah, the flash comes in, and Rascal's like, well, I guess I'm dead. Here comes his jungler. Actually, they're turning it onto the Kindred as the flash away, and the damage is not there. Rascal will survive, as BDD is going to turn that one entirely around and pick up the first blood. You okay?
No, I don't think I am. I'm not sure what I just watched. Valdez, we'll take a look at it in the replay. That's a bit of a situation, for sure.
Oh, and here we go on the bottom side too. Gunius, he's just gonna have to use his flash for basically nothing. Also didn't have cleanse anymore, so the trades down on the bottom side, you can just see Aphelios is getting used.
I mean, this is why it's so awkward. You pick the Aphelios blind, and he's not a blind marksman. And so even though there were the conditions of Set and Volibear present, there was also the Azir and the fact that you're going in blind. So the opponents can just respond to him face up, and I mean, this is why I mentioned it felt like this was just throw one over to Gen.G, because the draft was so layered counterintuitively by T1. And you can see all the lanes are having a bit of a problem. Now, top should have died. We're going to take a look at this. So Rascal, he could have cheater recalled Kana, flashes in, gets the stun, and then just watch this. Hello?
Kana's like, you know what? Actually, never mind.
I mean, you can think that he's trying to give the kill over to Kindred, but you don't need to. I don't know what to think.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely very strange. He saw the Graves and he's like, I guess I just can't get in there. And it was a very passive play when his jungle was committing to the kill. And yeah, just ends up being the one kill. I suppose at the end of the day, if he really had the true foresight, he was saying, well, I don't want to give the 3 for 2. Gumayusi doesn't have flash.
Good night.
Pretty much dead.
Oh!
Actually, one last auto will come in from Ruler after the flash. An effort, I bet you would, you know, at least want to have Ignite at this time. Maybe you could have reached for the kill onto Ruler, but it is not going to happen, as a straight-up kill will go down in the bottom side. And this game is very one-sided so far to the side of Gen.G.
Yeah. This is really just looking like Gen.G are running away with game number 1. And we saw them do this to DRX even. In some of the games, they can just obviously run away with the victory very easily. And when you consider the way that the draft is as well, it's not like, well, T1 still has mid-game or T1 still has late game. That's not really on the agenda. Ruler and Life very intelligently pulling the wave, not CSing it immediately. They're trying to threaten a freeze if they would want to. Now, unfortunately, Graves is not in close proximity down in bottom. Otherwise, they could get a little bit more reckless and trade away HP values.
Here goes BDD. It's going to be a trade of ultimates. The smite will come down. Clid reaching for the kill, but over the wall comes the Kindred. And the damage is not there.
Oh?
There's that chunking down, and down will go Clid in the trade of the junglers. So Clid overstaying his welcome, and LM going to pick up a kill for himself. Oh. Hitting in the side in the river. Here comes Rascal. Will flash on in, and LM only level 4 is going to go down. That is a second kill going to BDD's Azir.
Yeah, and I mean, this Azir hasn't recalled yet. And as soon as he does, things are going to get very problematic. And actually, hold on.
Oh, man.
Gumayusi.
Yeah, they're trading it.
Yeah.
Gumayusi, who is going to go for the cleanse. And the Ignite will come down. Here comes Faker with actually a fantastically timed roam. He's going to get on in there. Effort will get that passive down, and they will assassinate Ruler, as that kill will go the way of Gumayusi. So Faker not able to pick up the kill, but a really nicely timed gank, and now they're going to get some plates.
Yeah, that was a little bit surprising, the way that Gumayusi played that. He played it very reserved. The Haymaker still should have been on about an 8 or 9 second cooldown from set. They're going to end up getting the turret plate, and that was a really good roam down by Faker. Pay attention to this. Oh, this is the different timing. They just go in, they get the kill. Echo's mid, I can't see him. Or Echo's not mid. And then right here, this is it. So pay attention to the Haymaker, ends up whiffing. And then right here, Gumayusi playing very reserved, but Life was out of cooldowns, and him being at around 200 HP, if Ruler would stay, they would get double killed. Regardless if Life would have to turn back around. They play it very safe and reserved. End up getting the turret plates in the end. Faker here with the ultimate. Didn't get the damage application, and Clid had flash available. I thought he would just flash out, but he ends up just dying.
Yeah. Looked very awkward for sure. And Rascal still with flash. Can use it up on the top side, and is able to get on in there and smack down onto the Kindred, who is only level 4. Even after picking up that kill. So we do have a pause.
It wouldn't be an LCK day with you and me without this.
Yeah, well, you know, we haven't had too many episodes of Forbidden Love, so they were like, well, let's give him a chance. It's the last day of the LCK, and apparently Rascal has some lag. So, again, this is one of the problems that is not an easy fix, because they need the ref to get over there, they need to confirm it, they need to try many different things, and then, you know, can get a bit awkward, so may just end up having a longer episode to start off. And apparently heard maybe it will take around 5 minutes. So so how you doing over there, LS?
I'm doing fine. Honestly, it wouldn't be a day of LCK with you and me without a pause. A long one, too. This is the first of many, by the way. Just throwing that out there, yeah.
I read the script. I saw that actually we have about 5 or 6 pauses, depending on how the games go. Scheduled for you guys, of course. And yeah, we had the great pause. Obviously, we did that last week. That was about 3 hours, so little pauses don't phase me anymore. I've built up my stamina after the last time.
Well, this is going to be pretty interesting. Now, game number 1 is going pretty good for Gen.G. Pretty much all around, they have the better team comp. The longer the game ends up going, T1 are in a bit of an awkward spot in the game. They did just get some advantages down in bottom, and there's always the chance to 200 years the opponent. But the issue is that they're going to have some anchors on their team that aren't going to really be able to interact with their opponents the longer the game goes on. And so you have to wonder what the out is realistically going to be, and what kind of a rabbit is T1 going to have to pull out of a hat in order to pull this back. And remember those stats about Gen.G, not that they're, definitive, but typically when they're winning like this, they do tend to just continue the pile driving and bring it home.
Yeah, I mean, overall as a team, they're very consistent, and they really don't throw games away when they are ahead. And yeah, here we are once again. And this game is definitely going the way of Gen.G to start off, and it's kind of unfortunate. We saw that Faker was doing everything in his power to try to turn it around, and actually it was a pretty nice timing on the gank out of LM. So they have had some nice plays themselves, but it still remains to be seen if they can actually come back in this game.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is also only game 1. And I think going back to the ban pick, it was very interesting. We had 7 marksman bans, which is pretty unholy. And then the 2 marksmen I expected to see was Ezreal Senna. I thought T1 would actually take the Senna because they have...
Ezreal was banned, actually.
Was it? Oh, he's banned in the second phase. Yeah, you're right. So...
No, it was the 3rd ban of the first phase on red side, actually.
I wish I could say lost memory. Likely senile, actually, here. Likely senile. So, not a big deal. Yeah.
Oh, man.
But Senna, with Echo and Renekton helping enable them as they go in, would just have made so much more sense. Because you heal them as they go in, you don't necessarily have to follow up with them, you're still able to stay at a relatively safe distance. Whereas on the flip side of Philios, he now must go in. And so when you have other champions that must go in, like Echo and Renekton, it's a lot easier for the opponents to respond to you when the champions that must go in don't have as much buffer or help coming to them. This is why team compositions like Yuumi and Karma with Olaf is so helpful, because you just get so much EHP through their shielding and healing and things of that nature. So I was very surprised by where these marksmen ended up, finalizing themselves in the draft, but it was very, very interesting. I thought we would get a Jinx or something.
Yeah, I mean, Jinx was an option. We saw Kog'Maw being hovered earlier on this week, and well, we haven't seen him yet, but will be interesting. Also, Draven was left available, but they decided not to go into that pick either. And yeah, so that's about what happened down on the bottom side. I'm curious to see if there's going to be as much focus on the bottom lane after this one, especially by Gen.G. If they see, well, he's just going to play Aphelios, then, well, we'll be happy with that. As, yeah, still waiting on the fix, guys. Sorry about the pause. This is one of 6 pauses that we're going to have, of course. And, yeah, just hanging out here.
Yeah. Everything's exquisite. Honestly, it's
feeling good.
Indeed.
What did you have for breakfast today?
I haven't ate, actually. I had a coffee.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Coffee.
I had a coffee in the last 2 days, but I thought everything was getting better because the cases have dropped dramatically. But I was telling Atlas in one of the casts that basically it's now at a point where you have to have a QR code to go into shops, and then you also have to sign in. And then you have to record your name, phone number, and something, and there's a camera that records you too. It's definitely interesting. It's yeah.
Take your temperature.
Yeah.
It's a process.
Yeah.
It takes like a good 3 minutes to go anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. And
you know what's actually happened because of that is delivery food has been selling a lot more. There's actually like everybody's just, buying delivery food, as I did today, actually, which makes sense. In Korea, you can get pretty much anything delivered as well.
Yes.
They have great services where, even if you want something from a convenience store, you can pay someone to, just hop on a motorcycle, go over and bring you a bottle of water if that's what you wanted. So definitely pretty fun, very convenient living in Korea. And we're still just hanging out, guys. Still waiting on the lag situation. I'm just watching the Korean commentators. Looks like they're still talking about the game, which is a bit unfortunate. Not too much else to say about the game.
Yeah, the game is in a pretty weird state right now. It's still very early on. Obviously, chaos can still unfold, and T1 could manage to get back into a pretty good state, but besides that, not much else about the game to talk about. I will say, though, that these two teams are the reason that the match is as intense as it is for the final seed is that a lot of people perceive these two teams to be the second strongest seed that would actually be going from Korea. I know that is a very popular consensus on Reddit and Twitter and elsewhere, and amongst other analysts and pro players. So it is a bittersweet ending for one of these two here today. So we'll see. It's
going to be pretty rough. I mean, imagine you go through here and it's like a 5-game series and you just barely don't make Worlds because you're facing off against such a strong team. If Gen.G had just made it through, then we probably will be watching T1 versus DRX at this moment in time, which also would have been interesting. But I think that T1 might have had a better chance against them. They could shut down Chovy, which I think overall Faker can do a decent job of that.
I feel like T1 versus DRX matches up a lot better because DRX is so willing to sin, and then DRX and T1, when it comes to drafting, they're both all over the place. It's honestly just roll the die. But Gen.G tend to always gravitate towards the more stable, solid kinds of drafts that have very interesting either chemistry or very tailored breakpoints throughout the game that really doesn't often have a reliance on getting ahead. And so when T1 goes up against Gen.G, you get a little bit nervous because you start sweating and scratching your neck. You're like, what draft is it going to be this time? And sometimes you end up with a draft like this one in Game 1, where we're mostly watching until 10-15 minutes, because if Echo, Renekton, and Aphelios Kindred don't get ahead, it's going to be a nightmare. It doesn't mean that they're out of it. It doesn't mean they can't win. It's just going to mean that it's extremely unlikely that they're going to win the longer that this game goes up against Gen.G draft. And this is just something that can happen because of the way that T1 historically throughout the entire...
Maybe Forbidden Love is going to end here in just...
Yeah. And this is going to be one of the last episodes of Forbidden Love.
Yeah. This is the last day of LCK. This might be the last time you guys see us.
Yeah.
I know Atlas was... his last day was yesterday. Shout out to him. Had a fantastic year, as always. And looks like we're back in the game, guys. So we actually do have League of Legends stuff to talk about. And let's get it going.
Well, about a 1.3k gold lead right now. Azir with a monstrous recall. Sork Pen Boots and Lost Chapter is going to be picked up here.
Yeah, and the fact that he's so far ahead means that he can easily just scoot over to the Rift Herald that's going to be taken here right after 8 minutes, so not wasting any time with that. I would imagine that T1 have a pretty good idea that this is going on, but they're not going to do the thing where they rotate their whole team over or anything like that, so it's pretty nice for them. Faker just kind of on pushing duty. We'll see if he goes for any other big roams. Had a big one to start off this game.
And, ooh.
Little hook on to Ruler.
Well,
They're going to get a nice amount of poke down. As the Q landed, but Gumusi doesn't actually follow up on that one.
Well, I think at this point, Gen.G, all they have to do is just play everything very safe and stable. Mostly because Graves already has that Rift Herald picked up. He's clearing down to the bottom side. No dragons have been taken yet. And ideally, you want to use the Rift Herald in mid lane. Not on any of the side lanes. It opens up and accelerates the game a little bit too quick. And Gen.G, they want everything to be very safe, very stable. They want the game to go as long as possible. But mid lane is generally the lane that you want to crack down first.
Yeah, for sure, as the Cloud Drake is going to be taken here. Infernal is next. And still just 1,000 gold lead here for Gen.G in this game. You saw that T1 actually committed 4 people to go over there and take that down really quickly. So, not wasting any time with that one. And I'm very curious about LM's current state. I know he missed his first mark because of the double scuttle from the Graves after the shenanigans up in the top lane. But maybe got the one on the kill. And that's about it. We'll have to check in with this one.
Well, 1,000 gold lead right now for Gen.G. You can see Clid down here didn't actually do his golem camp, and now with Echo seeing that there's no Raptors, they should actually be able to deduce that Clid's down here. And I say that because you know when he took the Rift Herald, you see how Volibear's playing the lane, you know that it's not natural for that Raptor camp to still be up and not getting taken. Nothing else makes any sense.
Yeah, and overall it was a pretty good read. There's the Rift Herald going to crash into the bottom turret. And it's only going to get a couple of plates, so a nice little chunk down in the bottom side. But especially with Gumiushi on that Aphelios, has some pretty good wave clear, so I would imagine it'll be a while before that one does go down. LM waiting in the wings here, but flash available for BDD. And so they're not going to go for any play.
And meanwhile, up in top lane, Kana and Rascal, they're still just going at it. Kana is ahead a little bit in the XP department. Not by a whole bunch, but it looks like Rascal...
Ooh. He's getting in there.
Yeah.
And he's got his ultimate available. He will absolutely go for this play. Kana getting pretty low, and he's going to be smacked.
Oh!
One last auto would have...
Oh!
Oh, it's trying to be sniped, and Ruler nearly gets him there. Really great try. He was just on the edge of the Dawning Shadows, but there you go. Kana is going to get away, but a nice little trade up in the top side either way for Rascal. Will keep his flash at the end of the day.
And what a close call for Kana. And Rascal is going to be able to retain his flash advantage, though. That should be a pretty easy thing now for setting up lethals onto the Renekton, who didn't elect to go Ninja Tabi. But on the flip side, you can notice that Rascal did. And so a little bit of dual potency against not only the Renekton, but also the Kindred. And so now with Graves on the left-hand side, I wouldn't be surprised if Rascal just threatened to... No, we're not going to freeze this with our jungler? No? All right.
No.
All right.
He just blew his flash, but I mean, why would you want to take him down?
So the reason that it would be so good to freeze there is because Graves is in such close proximity and the enemy doesn't have Dominus, nor does he have Flash. So if you just drop the passive on Volibear and freeze the wave, Renekton can't walk up. And if he can't walk up, worst case scenario for you is you zone him out of 6 minions, which is almost an assist. And it is a very big difference in gold and EXP. Best case scenario, he tries to walk up, you pull your jungler over, and he just dies. So it's a pretty forced situation. No matter what, that those are always going to be the only 2 options that can really play out. And either one you're happy with. But instead, we're just going to play ping pong in top lane, and it's a really big lost opportunity by Gen.G.
Yep, absolutely. And it seems like Rascal, the only way he wants to put on pressure is by pushing. Actually being pushed in a little bit right now, but Graves is not up there at this moment in time, so kind of unfortunate there, especially with no vision in there as, okay, in goes Faker, just going to trade ultimates. You'll see this very often. It's really hard for either of them to kill each other. As another trade up in the top side, but we're not going all in this time around. Kind of just fine, but Rascal, very aggressive positioning in the lane.
Just going blow for blow. For the monsters up there, or king of the monsters, however you want to phrase it. It's kind of like Godzilla vs. King Kong, in a way, even though it's not a gorilla.
Much, yeah.
Wait, is there not a gorilla LoL champion?
No, I mean, there's only Wukong, but it's not a gorilla.
It's not a gorilla. There needs to be a gorilla.
Yeah, I mean,
Wukong's dad.
Then we can have actually Godzilla versus King Kong. For right now, though, I mean, Volibear is pretty much the closest thing you're going to get.
Yeah.
As in goes Faker. You can see he's taking really aggressive trades now. Has that Proto Belt completed. As Clid, once again, is down on the bottom side. Which is going to help to push this one in. As the Infernal Drake is available, they really want to get priority around that objective. So, trying to push in and get as much positioning as possible.
Yeah, and you can see T1, they should not just give up this Infernal for free. Kana has level 11. Yeah. Rascal didn't get it yet, but Senna ultimate.
The Dawning Shadows is going to come on in, and Rascal is going to flash in for that play. Needs to land this auto this time around.
Oh, no!
Have his flash, but trying to get the Storm Strike, and he's going to dodge it.
Oh.
Anna with the fancy feat today, and he will survive at the end of the day. Decides to back away. Does have a ward, but says, well, I'm not going to risk it. Let me just go back. I don't want to get shot in the face by Graves or get dove at this moment in time.
Oh, man. What a close call that is the top lane right now. Kana getting very, very fortunate with the way that everything keeps playing out. And Trinity Force almost going to be completed up there on the Volibear. Meanwhile, down here in bot lane, Clid seems very indecisive, and he's constantly skipping his Raptors and his Golem camps. Faker?
Faker is going in onto 4 members here. He's going to get stunned down and deleted. LM going to be... Actually, that was effort. In goes BDD. Oh, it's the one as the ultimate will come down, but Rascal teleporting in and is going to make this an unfair fight. A double kill. 2 more will go to the side of BDD as he is now 4-0, a monster, and Gen.G will get this Infernal Drake.
And the thing about this is that BDD being the one that's 4-0 is the most problematic thing that you could ever really imagine, because he's the one with the terrain control. He's the one that basically says Kindred, Renekton, and Echo can't hard engage. He's the one whose Sand Soldiers say to Aphelios that he can't just walk up and free deal. So him being so big right now, them picking up the Infernal, it's really looking doom and gloom for T1 here in game number 1, because there's no insurance policies on their side of the team. Mountain Drake is coming up, which is pretty big for both of these teams, but if you just imagine how the game's going to play out, Gen.G should be the ones to get it. Faker, he goes back in. I don't know what he's thinking here. He just ends up getting caught out and ends up dying. Gumayushi jumps into the backline, not quite able, though, to get a life. Only able to get one of the kills, and ends up being a disaster for T1.
Yeah, and that was really all just started by Faker hitting that control ward and deciding, being a little bit stubborn, that he's not going to leave until he takes that one down. He got the ward, but he also got killed, so definitely not a good trade. Also baited his teammates into that fight. After all of that happened, you could see he was probably calling for help, and he was pretty much already dead after expending a lot of damage onto Clid, but not really able to get the job done. And as you mentioned, definitely pretty scary right now. Faker gonna get that slowed down, but life pretty fast here. Trying to get in range, but Proto Belt will be used at the last moment to just make sure that he does not go down.
And meanwhile, up in top lane, it's still a bit of an island. Trinity Force not yet complete for Rascal. They're just going to be going blow for blow, but it's almost a 4,000 gold deficit with Gen.G having the much more valuable dragon. And everything is probably going to be pretty calm for the next couple of minutes.
Yeah, just kind of chilling out like we were before. Not really too many plays to be made at this moment in time. They can go for Shirley here. And the mid turret has actually taken a little bit of damage, as you can see. So maybe they'll actually try to extend into taking down that very important tier 1 mid turret. I can imagine it'll be pretty easy with the help of our second repaired Shirley, as everybody seems to be grouping up around the mid lane. to try to get in there. As in goes BDD, he's going to find Gumayusi, and he is just dead. I mean, there was no vision there, but there wasn't the enemy jungle on that side, so I'm curious how they had no idea that BDD was there, and how that kill just looked so free.
Yeah, and I mean, right now it just feels like T1 is a little bit lost on what to do inside of this game. Gen.G, they're the ones with complete autonomy and control over everything that's going to be allowed to happen. Faker's just trying to split push down in bottom. He's going Lichbane's second item here on the Echo. But the Mountain Dragon, that's going to really decide the fate, I feel, for the game. If Gen.G end up winning that, they not only get a little bit of resistances, but they buy themselves an extra 5 minutes of just scaling time where nothing is really allowed to happen. BDD with a very nice engage there on Gumayusi. Everything's just really playing itself right now. Elvis?
Yeah, I mean, this is why BDD plays this year, right? There are moments where he can just make some incredible plays, but again, that one kind of looked just free. I mean, Gumayusi was too far up the lane with no vision on the mid-side brushes, and he didn't even have flash, so got to be a little bit smarter about exactly, you know, knowing how the game is going and exactly how passive you have to be in order to survive. As I say that, he's pushing out mid lane, misses that cannon, it looks like, which is pretty unfortunate, as Faker has assumed the role of the top laner for now.
Wow. He's going to be trying to shove in the wave. Kana on the run right now. Going to get ulted by the Volibear. Clid not
Yeah, here comes life as well. Clid a little bit unfortunate with this pathing. Will they have the damage is the question. As Dominus is used, and he will flash Ignite, ticking at this moment in time. Rascal gonna get on in there, rooted underneath the turret, but just trying to get that slowdown onto Gumayusi and just barely clips him at the end. So another kill over to the side of Gen.G. Meanwhile, they're just pushing mid. Nobody's here.
No one's...
And they're getting so much value.
Yeah, I mean, Faker's he's pushing top tier 1, but it's not gonna end up mattering. BDD is here. And this is a pretty cut and dry. No, don't kill that. They should let the Herald charge and then let the next wave kill the inhibitor. And if you end up doing that, you get super minions at 21 minutes, which is really valuable because you funnel in 5 minutes of waves into you for EXP and gold that the opponents are never going to be able to get access to. And it's not like the opponents can just randomly start up the Baron, right? You know that they're about to get the Mountain, and so you can't even make an argument for that. This would be so much better if T1 could allow their mid-tier 1 inhibitor to just end up going down. I've seen a lot of teams, actually, they intentionally don't take the inhibitor, and it's for reasons like this.
Absolutely, but they did not do that after all. The fourth mark is going to finally be taken here by Ellum at 22 minutes, so a little bit slow on that one. Good on his teammates to help him out. And Ana is just getting kind of abused here in the side lane. He's got Gumayusi nearby.
Oh.
And he doesn't even get the monster there. Sir Grompulus. Faker is incredibly fast with this TP. And we'll be looking to pick up that very easy kill. So there you go. Faker getting in position at the right time in the bottom lane once again.
Yeah, he comes in with Echo and just manages to maim the Volibear there. But not really be enough at in this game. It's almost a 5,000 gold lead here. 23 minutes.
Oh, man. Forcing the flash here, and here comes Faker as well. Will flash on in and secure that kill, and this Echo is just...
wait, what? What?
Echo's BDD, what is going on?
Hello?
In goes Faker, he's got his ultimate.
Baron?
Nearly getting on life. Kana's down here, he's got TP, so he'll just continue pushing. Volibear not in position, and they will, in fact, go for the Baron.
I mean, okay, so this changes everything, this series of events. Now, pay attention to all of their XP levels. Right now, when they end up capturing the Baron, this is not just the 1,500 gold that goes over to T1. It's also all the EXP that is going to go their way. And, okay, so Aphelios almost got an entire level off that. His XP bar highlighted in the bottom left. That is so much power, and we just see how it all starts up. Ruler randomly in mid lane, he's got a hot date.
They don't kill the
There was no way.
purpose.
He ends up getting brought down, Life almost going down as well. Facebreaker into the Haymaker, but Faker not quite able to get him in the end. And then immediately turned to Baron. The gold score almost evened up. And now the levels as well are pretty much even across the board. However, Gumayusi ahead in EXP. Ever is ahead in EXP. Faker's about to ding 16. BDD just dinged 15. This is a very big swing in T1's favor, and the Baron persists into the Mountain Dragon. So even though when the dust all settles, Gen.G are still going to be ahead, T1 are much closer in this game than they were just 1 minute ago.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's just a massive swing after you just essentially give over 2 free kills and the Baron, and Faker is a menace right now. I mean, say what you will about how the early game went in 5-0 BDD, but it doesn't matter if you're just going to TP into 3 people and die. As here comes Light going in on this one. We got TP. They're trying to play on to effort. What? As the double knockup is going to come in, the triple actually, as Gen.G are just falling apart out of nowhere, and T1 will lap this up happily.
I have no idea what is the series of events that is unfolding in the last 3 minutes. Valdez, this is... I don't know. It's like a sandcastle getting hit by a wave. It's what's happening. Ruler! I think he's gonna... No, well, he's Yumu's... Yeah, okay. He has the movement speed from Senna.
Man, this is... if you're a Gen.G fan, this is not what you wanted to have happen. This is not what you wanted to see. And all of those parts of T1's comp that were looking pretty weak after the early game are now just bolstered so much. It's an entirely different game after the last, 2-3 minutes. And you can't really afford to make mistakes like that in this important of a best of 5.
You look at the manner in which they're being caught out. Sometimes they're handshaking it like this one. I don't know what they're thinking. Even if they get onto them, there's Lamb's Respite there. But also, it's a Stone Plate Nautilus. You're never going to be able to kill him here. I don't know what they're thinking.
Yeah, and they're focusing him because everybody else got over the wall. And they're like, well, I guess we gotta attack Stone Plate Nautilus? It's just, it's confusing, for sure. But Gen.G, they're now saying, well, we got to group up for the 5v5, and we don't want to let these Drakes go down without a fight. Faker over the wall, considering going in on this one. Edward going to be frontlining. That is going to be the Stone Plate. Another 3-man knockup. In goes Faker. He is being burst down. Has to go into that ultimate. In goes BDD. Gets the 2 of them. A really nice Emperor's Divide as there's chaos in the Dragon Pit. We get the ultimate out of Elim, but actually it's T1 that are going to go down in this fight, as Kana will be fighting for his life, but will not get out of this one. 4 kills will go the way of Gen.G after that.
Yeah, and so it ends up being a 4 for 2 in favor of Gen.G. They're also going to reward themselves with the jungle of T1. And you can just see Azir was doing so much inside of this team fight. Take a look at it one more time. Effort, he whips the initial engage. Now, T1 shouldn't have gone for this engage. They had the Mountain Dragon. They could have just disengaged. They could have backed off. Effort loses all of his HP. Shurima Shuffle onto the Renekton. He flashes back in to the fight. Lance Spike comes out as well. Faker doesn't have anything he can do because he can't execute anyone because of the Kindred ultimate. A little bit of counterintuitive there, but not the end of the world. Gen.G, they end up standing victorious. Clid has also now caught up in levels. Rascal back to being even. Gumayusi still ahead in the XP department, but Effort and Life now back to being even as well. And this game is, it's a roller coaster.
Yeah, and KT isn't even playing, so it's been back and forth, and this is what you do like to see out of this kind of a rivalry. Unfortunately, I feel like it's kind of been back and forth because of mostly throws, although I do like BDD's play in that last one. The Lamb's Respite, a little bit confusing, as LM coming in here starting once again ahead of Cuz. and playing, you know, a very difficult champion. You need to have amazing timing and positioning to play Kindred. It's, you know, it's very intuitive. You have to have a lot of experience on that champion. And unfortunately, in that sense, he saved some of the members of Gen.G in the Dragon Pit and allowed them to come back as Effort steps up and dies. Not much else to say about that one. The slow is going to go down onto Elam. At the same time, he's going to have to flash away. Faker waiting in the wings. You can see that insane range out of Ruler, just tapping on the back. And now Gen.G are going to take control of this one and look to push into mid lane.
Well, they're going to raise the mid tier 1 turret. And honestly, this isn't something that I tend to like that much. Mid super minions versus just the cannon minions that you have, generally they end up working against you in more cases than not. Typically, if you win a game-deciding fight, you're able to end it without a super. You just need a cannon minion, if it's going to be strong enough. Mountain Dragon is up in 2 minutes. Faker, well.
Yeah, he's in a really awkward spot now. Good flash, at least, to get out of that one. As some trading down here on the side. Oh, man, that is going to whiff, but he does get a double root. Doesn't really amount to all that much, as Faker, they're pinging where he is exactly. But can they stop it? They can actually stop the back. That is huge. He doesn't have his ultimate or his flash. They should easily be able to get Faker here. Faker only has one choice, and that's try to fight. He can't do much, as now Gen.G with the Baron available could consider going for this objective.
Well, it looks like they should turn onto the Baron. Lamb's Respite is there, but now Clid's the one with the higher level. Also the Execute. I would imagine Clid would have a lot easier of a time trying to go for the burst than Elam would. So we'll see what ends up happening. It looks like T1's actually just going to give it up. They're not even going to contest.
Kumiushi, can he do much? No, the smite will come in. And that is going to be a nice little Baron over the side of Gen.G. And yeah, pretty much just opened up in the enemy jungle. We're not going to take a look at that, though. We're going to look at Effort just kind of waddling in the mid lane and getting caught out here.
And yeah, I mean, Effort randomly in mid for no reason whatsoever. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Gen.G, they know where Faker is. Managed to get onto him. He's not able to get the recall off. They turn onto Baron shortly thereafter. They pick that one up. Now the Baron, it's going to convert. It will persist on. Okay, well.
Oh, man. Oh, that's just insult to injury at this point.
It did come at the cost of Graves' ultimate, but
super low cooldown.
Yeah,
it's
almost up.
Speed through.
It's almost up.
Yeah, and Mountain Drake will just be handed over to Gen.G with the Baron buff that they still have for 2 minutes. So some extra stats bolstering what they already have. Obviously, a lot of tanky items for 3 of them. You can see the Polar Bear Graves and Set, of course, rebuilding that. And here comes the push with the Baron down on the bottom side. And Faker immediately is just going to basically die. He gets sniped out by Ruler. See you later. And has 0 effect on the fight as they will continue pushing.
Well, I think this is going to be the end of the game, Valdez. I cannot imagine T1 managing to survive this final push. There's so much damage.
Oh.
Yeah.
In goes the Rascal. He says, have a good night. You're not going to be able to do much. And BDD is just chunking through everybody on their side. Lancer Spike comes in. Kumiushi trying to put on the 200 years, but gets slapped in the face by Life, who will put him down. And so will go the Nexus as well.
Life is a game. Play smart.